The 7 levels of crazy actors explained. Level 1. Robert De Niro, the method master. Robert De Niro established the foundation of extreme method acting, legitimizing total transformation as standard practice. Trained under Stella Adler and Lee Strasberg, De Niro became the Stanislavski method's most celebrated modern practitioner, setting the template every subsequent extreme actor would follow. His commitment borders on obsessive. For Raging Bull, De Niro trained extensively as a boxer, participating in 3 actual matches. Mid-production, he gained 60 pounds to portray Jake LaMotta's decline, forcing a 4-month production shutdown. For Taxi Driver, he obtained an actual New York taxi license and worked 12-hour shifts, absorbing the isolation defining Travis Bickle. In Cape Fear, he paid a dentist to grind down his teeth for menace. De Niro would maintain character between takes, ensuring psychological continuity. What makes him foundational is how his approach became the gold standard. Before De Niro, actors changed hair or adopted accents. After him, total transformation, physical, psychological, behavioral, became expected for serious actors. His 2 Oscars and countless nominations legitimized extreme preparation as pathway to greatness. De Niro proved method acting wasn't self-indulgent, but genuine craft, establishing credibility, giving every subsequent actor permission to push boundaries. He's the gateway. Once you accept De Niro's methods as normal, everything else becomes possible. Level 2. Daniel Day-Lewis, the Immersion Extremist. Daniel Day-Lewis amplifies De Niro's foundation to legendary proportions, the actor who never breaks character regardless of physical danger or crew inconvenience. If De Niro is method acting's standard-bearer, Day-Lewis is its most uncompromising zealot. The stories are mythical. For My Left Foot, playing a man with cerebral palsy, Day-Lewis refused to leave his wheelchair. Crew members physically carried him around set and spoon-fed him during breaks. He learned to paint with his foot. For Gangs of New York, he caught pneumonia in freezing conditions, because Bill the Butcher wouldn't have worn warm clothing. For The Crucible, he didn't bathe for entire shoot. During In the Name of the Father, he spent nights locked in solitary confinement. For Last of the Mohicans, Day-Lewis learned to track, hunt, and survive in wilderness, eating only food he personally caught and killed. He built canoes, learned colonial weapons, lived in forest for weeks. Lincoln required maintaining the president's voice for entire production. Co-star Sally Field recalled Day-Lewis sent text messages in character. Director Paul Thomas Anderson admitted Phantom Thread was so psychologically demanding that both were overwhelmed by sadness, lingering long after. Day-Lewis's 2017 retirement stems from this intensity. The cost became unsustainable. He's the cautionary tale, the actor who achieved perfection by sacrificing himself. Level 3. Christian Bale, the Body Destroyer. Christian Bale represents radical physical transformation, treating his body as infinitely malleable clay. While others focus on psychology, Bale's extremity manifests through shocking weight fluctuations bordering on self-harm. The Machinist remains most notorious. Bale dropped 63 pounds, surviving on 1 can of tuna, 1 apple, and black coffee daily. Co-star Michael Ironside recalled Bale showing him the muscles in his ass had literally dropped out of the sockets of his hips. Ironside warned Bale he'd gone beyond body fat into actual muscle degradation. Bale weighed just 121 pounds at 6 feet tall, medically dangerous. The insane part? 6 weeks later, Bale gained it all back plus muscle for Batman Begins, bulking to 220 pounds, then cutting to 190. Nutritionists warned about metabolic damage and organ stress. For The Fighter, he lost 30 pounds playing crack-addicted boxer Dickie Eklund. For American Hustle, he gained 40 pounds. For Vice, playing Dick Cheney, he gained 40 pounds again. Unlike Day-Lewis's psychological immersion, Bale's approach is brutally physical. Body horror, where actor becomes sculptor in sculpture. Medical professionals warn about heart problems and metabolic syndrome. Bale's response: I've always liked extremes. He's transformed method acting into body modification, treating flesh as mere material. The psychological ramifications remain unspoken. What does constantly destroying and rebuilding your body do to mental health? Level 4. Jared Leto, the Boundary Violator. Jared Leto takes method acting into controversial territory where dedication becomes disruption. Unlike actors whose extreme methods primarily harm themselves, Leto's approach impacts cast, crew, and production, making him Hollywood's most divisive method practitioner. The Suicide Squad stories are infamous. To play Joker, Leto allegedly sent disturbing gifts, used condoms to cast, a live rat to Margot Robbie, a dead pig during rehearsal, and anal beads to co-stars. Leto justified this, claiming he wanted to create a dynamic, break down walls. Will Smith joked, "The rule generally is, never go full Joker." Leto later walked back claims, telling GQ he never sent a dead rat. It was alive, plus vegan cinnamon buns. The distinction hardly matters. The pattern reveals someone using method as excuse for questionable behavior. He refused to break character, isolating himself from cast. For Dallas Buyers Club, Leto lost 30 pounds, playing transgender character Rayon, staying in character off camera. His Oscar-winning performance sparked criticism from the trans community about cisgender actors playing trans roles. In Morbius, director revealed Leto used crutches, then wheelchair to reach bathrooms in character. Critics called it ableist performance. For Requiem for a Dream, Leto claimed he lived on streets with heroin addicts. For Chapter 27, he gained 67 pounds, later losing it by foregoing solid food for 10 days. What separates Leto is how his methods allegedly affect others negatively. Critics argue he's conflated method acting's surface with substance, appearance of commitment without disciplined craft. When does method become excuse for unprofessional behavior? Level 5. Jim Carrey. The possession performer Jim Carrey occupies unique territory. The actor claiming not method acting at all, but experiencing actual spiritual possession. This elevates extremity from conscious choice to claimed involuntary takeover, blurring lines between performance, mental health, and metaphysics. Man on the Moon provides the most documented example. Playing Andy Kaufman, Carrey claims he wasn't acting but was literally possessed by Kaufman's spirit. Documentary Jim and Andy reveals the extent. Carrey stayed in character for 4 months, refusing to answer to his own name, treating people exactly as Kaufman would, including antagonizing wrestler Jerry Lawler, who was actually Kaufman's real friend. The behavior went beyond dedication into disruption. Carrey made directors negotiate with Andy to get scenes shot. He terrorized Lawler despite their characters' fictional rivalry being opposite to real Kaufman-Lawler friendship. Director Milos Forman called it one of the most difficult shootings of his career. Carrey frames it spiritually rather than methodologically. He told press he was possessed and experiencing something beyond conscious control. The language shifts from "I chose" to "Andy took over and I couldn't stop him." This raises uncomfortable questions about accountability. Post Man on the Moon, Carrey underwent spiritual awakening, speaking about ego death and his belief that Jim Carrey doesn't exist. He discusses living in permanent existential questioning, suggesting his characters aren't performances but revelations beyond identity. Critics worry he's romanticizing potential mental health struggles. Unlike Day-Lewis's controlled intensity, Carrey presents method as loss of control, surrender to forces beyond intention. He's taken method beyond methodology into metaphysics, claiming not to be acting but channeling entities. Level 6. Adrien Brody, the Life Destroyer. Adrien Brody represents perhaps the most personally destructive form, the actor who doesn't just transform his body or stay in character, but deliberately dismantles his actual life to experience his character's suffering authentically. For The Pianist, Brody's preparation shocked even Hollywood's extreme practitioners. To understand Holocaust survivor Władysław Szpilman's loss, Brody didn't just research. He systematically destroyed his life. He sold his car and apartment, gave away possessions, disconnected phones, and left, moving to Europe with 2 bags and a keyboard. Most devastatingly, he broke up with his girlfriend. Not because of relationship problems, but because he believed he needed to experience loss and loneliness, Szpilman felt. His girlfriend, understandably devastated, ended things permanently. Brody deliberately created real trauma to portray trauma. Physically, Brody dropped 30 pounds, learning to play Chopin with genuine skill. The weight loss, combined with genuine grief over his destroyed relationship, created authentic suffering, visible on camera. The performance won Best Actor at 29, youngest ever, but the cost was everything he'd built. Unlike Bale's physical transformations, Brody's method extended into destroying his real existence. If winning Oscars requires destroying your actual life, where does it end? Brody's girlfriend didn't consent to becoming collateral damage. Critics argue this crosses fundamental lines. Acting is pretending, creating authentic emotion without living the trauma. Brody rejected that, insisting on genuine suffering. This represents method acting's dark endgame, where pursuing authenticity destroys the actor's actual life, turning preparation into real loss. It's no longer craft but willingly inflicting trauma on yourself and others. Level 7. Shia LaBeouf, the complete breakdown. Shia LaBeouf represents the ultimate endpoint, the actor whose commitment has become so extreme and boundary-violating that it's impossible to separate dedication from mental health crisis, performance art from breakdown, and acting from alleged abuse. LaBeouf's descent began with Fury, where he repeatedly cut his own face with a knife before takes, kept wounds infected, pulled out his tooth, and avoided hygiene. Co-star Logan Lerman recalled LaBeouf casually slicing his face open. The self-mutilation was played as dedication. For The Peanut Butter Falcon, he lived homeless for weeks. During Lawless, he insisted on drinking real moonshine, getting actually intoxicated before scenes. Co-star Mia Wasikowska confirmed the behavior terrified her. LaBeouf admitted being aggressive, but claimed his character wasn't even a heavy drinker, revealing method as excuse for substance abuse. His "Qua am sorry" installation, where he sat wearing a paper bag while visitors could do anything, reportedly resulted in a woman sexually assaulting him, which he discussed as artistic experience rather than trauma. Most seriously, musician FKA Twigs filed lawsuit in 2020, alleging LaBeouf subjected her to relentless abuse, including sexual battery and emotional distress. The lawsuit detailed horrifying allegations, allegedly giving her an STD while pressuring excessive sexual encounters, isolating her from friends, threatening to crash his car unless she professed love, keeping a loaded firearm by the bed. This transcends method into alleged abuse disguised as intensity. LaBeouf's defenders argue he's mentally ill and needs help. Critics contend mental illness doesn't excuse alleged abuse, and Hollywood's celebration of extreme method enabled someone to allegedly harm others while calling it art. LaBeouf represents complete boundary collapse between performance and reality, dedication and destruction, art and alleged abuse. This is where method doesn't just hurt the actor, but allegedly harms everyone around them.